That's it. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to my stream. Today's stream is going to be, as soon as I switch the screen over, there we go. It's going to be all about the text editor. So we were working on the text editor last week, and we got that working as far as being able to insert characters. If I take a look at the log file, we're able to backspace at the start of a line in order to join lines together. So if I run right now, I can go over here and hit backspace and join two lines. But right now, if I type the enter key and I'm trying to press enter, it doesn't do anything because we're ignoring enter keys. I can insert text, right? I can, oops. Oh, I can't insert capital letters. Okay, only lowercase. So there's a bug. Let's fix that bug. Let's fix that bug first before we get into this enter key. Boo, boo, boo. I didn't realize that this, where would it be? Under editor, right? Process key press. Control Q to quit, Control S to save, ignore Control L on escape keys, Control H or backspace, any regular key gets inserted. Oh, I guess I need to include Shift key in here. You can't do two there, right? But I could do this. I can say or Shift, right? All right, let's see if I can type capital letters now. This is, yep, okay, test, okay. Still no enter key, but that's okay. So that was a minor bug. We don't need to type in capital letters, do we? Okay, so let's commit that. Allow uppercase letters to be typed. A minor bug fix. There we go. All right, so let's dive in now to the enter key. This is partway through section 5, and I think there's only 8 sections in this whole thing. And of course, right off the bat, we got, wow, 3 different spammers. Nice. Gotta just quickly report these guys for spam. Sorry about that. And one more. There we go. Okay. Apologies for that. That's always fun. Okay, so let's see. The enter key. Although it did give me 3 more chat people. That's good. Okay. Right, so we just finished up backspacing, right? That's right. Okay, enter key. The last editor operation we have to implement is the enter key. Oh, this is the last editor operation. Okay. The enter key allows the user to insert new lines to the text or split a line into 2 lines. First thing we need to do is rename editor append row function to editor insert row int add. We'll now be able to insert a row at the index specified by the new at argument. Okay. So right now we have insert row. No, sorry, we have append row. Right. So if we look at append row, that's right down here. All we're doing is adding a row to the end. So we're going to change it to insert row, which is going to insert at a specific position in our rows array. All right, so if at, and oh, I guess we're going to give this an int, an at of view size, and we're going to call it insert. If at is greater than self rows, then we're going to return rows len and return. Right, that's that first line here. We don't need to check less than 0 because view sizes cannot be less than 0. This just says, okay, now shift all the rows up and move them, and then this is going to copy the row to the new allocated space, and then it's going to insert. Yeah, it inserts it here. So this moves all the pointers up, and this inserts it here. But we can just use the vec thing. So instead of push, we'll just say insert at new row. I think that's all we need to do. And then we have to change the caller, right? Much like in editor row insert char, we first validate at, then allocate memory for one more eRow, use memMove to make movement to specified index for the new row. That's what this guy is doing. We also delete the old int at line, since at is now being passed as an argument. Okay. That's why they did that, I guess. Okay. Excuse me. We now have to replace all calls to editor append row with calls to editor insert row. How many are there? Append row. There's just that one. So we can just change that to insert. And then we have to tell it where. Enum rows. Okay, so self rows len. All right, so that should build, right? And we should still be able to, over here, go to the bottom of the file and insert a new row. And I pushed down arrow instead of enter, because enter won't work from, yeah, won't work from here. But I can say down arrow and still insert new rows, right? And then I can say save and quit, and then we can cat T and we can see our new rows. Okay, so that's still working. That was steps 122 and 123. Oh, this is interesting. So I have two different places here. Oh, an editor open insert row, but I don't do that. Right? Okay. Yeah. In editor open, we just build the rows directly. We don't call insert row for each row, because all we're doing is pushing onto the vector, so we don't have to worry about all this extra code. Yep. Okay, now that we have editor insert row, we're ready to implement editor insert new line. All right, let's get these checked in. 122 and 123. Refactor. Append row to insert row. All right. So editor insert new line, which handles the enter key press. So I guess insert row. Let's put it right next to that. We have insert row, so we have insert row, delete row, and then insert new line. Let's put it right up here. And it doesn't take any arguments, and it doesn't return anything. So if the cursor is at the beginning of the row, we're going to insert an empty row. Otherwise, we're going to do some fancy stuff. If self cursor.x is 0, self insert row at self cursor y as usize, and then we're going to just put an empty string. Else we're going to do whatever the heck this is doing. So we're going to grab the current row, we're going to insert a row below ECY plus 1, starting from the cursor's current position with the length of okay, yeah, so we're just splitting the current row. Epic Blog says this is a VI style editor being built. It's a Kilo style editor being built, which is a very minimal editor. I mean, basically you have arrow keys and you can insert things and backspace. But there's not a whole lot more I imagine. Although this does promise, if I take a look at if I just take a look here, I'll just pop into a different display. It does talk about doing search and syntax highlighting. So those are going to be next. But it's not VI in the sense that it doesn't have modes, right? Everything, you're always in insert mode. So yeah, and there's nothing fancy about this. It doesn't have a LSP server built into it or anything like that. Although that would be interesting to learn how to add, right? Or this would be the client, right? Because it's the editor. So we're splitting at ECX at the cursor X position. And all we're doing here is copying. What's the best way to do this, I guess? We can take the current row and split it, right? We have a string split. Let's go here, string. Standard string, and there's a split, right? Split off. Splits the string into two at the given byte index. Returns a newly allocated string. Self contains bytes 0 to @ and the return string contains bytes @ to len. That sounds like what we want, right? @ must be on a boundary of UTF-8 code point. Note that the capacity of self does not change, but it shrinks, right? Okay, so maybe that's all we need to do is say let new row equals self rows self cursor y as usize. Okay, let's do this. Let row equals self as usize, and then we can just put that here. Row dot split at self cursor dot x as usize. Right, so that will split that row. Oh, chars. Right, chars. And then we're going to insert row, self rows insert at row plus 1. Oh, we can just say self insert row at row plus 1 of new row. That returns a string. Okay, perfect. That's all we need. So is this all we need to do for this? And then, editor update row. We have to update the current row. How do we do that? Row. That's called render row in our code. Then maybe we should split this. We should add the split here. That way it can render the row after it splits it. Pub fun split. Itself at usize returning a string. Right, and that's just this line up here. Don't need that. Oops, we do need that. And this is just at. This is let result is that, and we say self render row, and then return result. And then this becomes just split self cursor x as usize. Nope, didn't like that. Self render row. That's right, I did it this way. Self render equals row : render row self chars. I did it that way so I could call it from the constructor. Self chars. And then we can't return result, expected string, but got a tuple. Oh, split off. Not split at, split off. There, okay. And what are the warnings? Associative function is never used. Well, let's use it. Wait, it's used right here. Insert new line is never used. Oh, split is never used because insert new line is never used. Got it. Okay, so yeah, let's keep going. So hopefully this will work. Let's wire it in now, right? If they're at the beginning of a line, all we have to do is insert a new blank row before the line we're on. That's this here. Otherwise, we have to split the line we're on into two rows. First, we call editor insert row and pass it the characters on the current row that are on the right of the cursor. Then we reassign the row pointer because, reassign the row pointer. We have to increment y and reset x to 0. Okay. I didn't do that. Set self cursor y plus equals 1 and self cursor x equals 0. Then we reassign the row pointer because the editor insert row calls realloc, which might move memory around on us and invalidate the pointer. Yikes. Oh, I see. Like here. Yeah. We don't have to worry about any of that. Then we truncate the current row's contents by setting the size to the position of the cursor, and we call editor update row on the truncated row. Editor insert row already calls editor update row for the new row. Right. In both cases, we increment cy and set cx to 0 to move the cursor to the beginning of the row. Finally, let's actually map the enter key to the editor insert new line operation. All right, so we're going to check to see we have the enter. And that was a to do, and we're going to change it to self insert new line. Wow. Right, that's all we need to do there. Yeah. That concludes all the text editing operations we're going to implement. If you wish, and if you're brave enough, you may now start using the editor to modify its own code for the rest of the tutorial. If you do, I suggest making regular backups of your work using Git or similar, in case you run into bugs in the editor. All right, I'm not going to, but we're going to keep going with this anyway. Let's run this and see if we can split lines. So I'm going to go over here and hit enter. Look at that. And if I'm at the end of a line, right, I hit enter and it inserts a new blank line. So that's working. Look at that. We can almost do everything we need to do now. Okay. Quit all of that. Git status, git add source, git commit -m. And this was actually, what was our previous commit? Oh, it's gone now. It was to 123. So we just finished step 125. So git commit -m steps 124 to 125. Enter key. Very nice. Very, very nice. Okay, and now we're going to work on save as. Currently, when the user runs kilo with no arguments, they get a blank file to edit but have no way of saving. Right? Cargo run. I can hit Control S, but it won't save anything. I can modify, and if I hit Control S, the modify flag doesn't go away. But we can't save anything. Okay. We need a way of prompting a user. Epic says append, insert, remove text is basically everything you need. Everything else is just noise. Everything else is programmer convenience, right? We need a way of prompting the user to input a file name when saving a new file. Let's make an editor prompt function that displays a prompt in the status bar and lets the user input a line of text after the prompt. Oh, we have to pull up editor refresh screen. Okay, so editor prompt. Let's see what this is doing. It's creating a buffer of 128 bytes. clearing it or setting its length to 0. It sets the status message to whatever the prompt is that we're passing in and refreshes the screen. And then editor read key. If it's an enter and the buff lane is not 0, we set the status message to 0 and return whatever buff we have. If it's not a control character and it's less than what we've entered, less than 128 characters, buff line is buff size -1, buff size times equals 2, buff is realloc buff size. Oh, see, now that's not the length, that's the character entered. If it's not a control character and it's in a standard 7-bit ASCII range, then we're going to add it to the buff. We just allocated 128 here. Oh, I see. So this is just going to keep going. So it's going to start at 128, but it's going to keep growing as needed. All right. So the only issue is editor refresh screen, I think, sets the scroll position, clears the screen, draws all the rows, potentially clears the status message, but it shouldn't because we just set it. Draws us the status bar. It doesn't move the cursor. And we're not showing what the keys are. We're going to do that also? Because this is in a loop, right? It's grabbing a key. It's adding to the buff. Oh, I see. It's adding the... Oh, okay. And set status message currently just has the message to set. It doesn't do both. Ah, okay. Right, so this is just a format. And we can put %s or whatever in the format. All right. All right. So let's make this and see how far we get with it. Let buff is equal to string from, right? And then we'll just push the new characters at the end. We don't have to worry about that. malloc and free business. Then in our loop, we'll say self set status message. Oh, editor prompt. We're going to actually pass the prompt in. Ooh, interesting. So prompt is a string. Can I do this? Format bang. No, I can't. I was thinking, well, let's pass in a format string. Because maybe you want the buffer to appear somewhere in the middle of the prompt. Let's not implement that functionality just yet. I guess we can do that to separate them. So we have the prompt and then the buff. I think I have to do that maybe. Yep, that works. And then refresh screen. And then we're going to do a read key. And how do we do that? Process keypass. We just say if let OK self keyboard read. If I guess we say match C, and then we can check for the enter key the way we do here. Okay. So this would be key event, key code, enter. Can we do it that way? And then dot, 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 or dot, dot rather. And then we're going to return the buffer. Does that work? Nope. What do I have to do there? I have to do something differently. All right, key event, code, and then match code, key code, enter. Do I have to say code like this? Yeah, okay. And then we're going to, for any key event of char, ch, code, right? Anything. Oops, I didn't mean to uppercase that. Modif? I don't know, because I want to be able to detect shift or not shift, right? And then we're going to insert it to the buff. Actually, we can ignore. Right, we can ignore control characters by saying if modif, if matches, modif key modifiers none, or key modifiers shift. Then we're going to insert it into the buffer, right? Buff.push ch. And everything else gets ignored. I think that's all we need to do. And then that loops around here, and then we have to figure out how to quit, right? So this is going to just say, oh, this is going to return a string. And this just says return buff. Oh, editor self set status message to empty and return buff. Okay, so is that all we need to do? It's got to be more complicated than that. Oh, key code char. Oops, key code. Okay. What's the warning? Editor prompt is not used. Unused result that must be used. Okay, so we're going to ignore any errors from refresh screen. Okay, so now where do we call this? User's import is stored in buff, which is dynamically allocated string that we initialize to the empty string. Okay, I'm kind of doing that with this right here. We then enter an infinite loop that repeatedly sets a status message, refreshes the screen, and waits for a key press to handle. The prompt is expected to be a format string containing a %s, which is where the user's input will be displayed. Right, yeah, that's what I was guessing. And where the %s goes is anybody's guess. I mean, the way this is done here in C, it could go anywhere, but I don't think I can format like that. So I'm just going to hard code it to the %s being after the prompt and a colon. When the user presses enter and their input is not empty, the status message is cleared and their input is returned. Otherwise, when they input a printable character, we append it to buff. When bufflen has reached the maximum capacity, we allocated stored in buff size, then we double buff size and allocate that amount of memory before appending it to buff. We also make sure that buff ends with a null character, because both editor set status message and the caller editor prompt will use it to know where the string ends. Notice that we have to make sure the input key isn't one of the special keys in editor key enum, which will have high integer values. To do that, we test whether the input key is in the range of char by making sure it is less than 128. So I'm doing that here to make sure that I think ch can only be a printable character, or key code char can only be printable character. Let's take a look at the source real quick here. Oh, it can be any char. Which means Unicode in Rust. So I wonder how that's, oops, that's the wrong one. I wonder how that's going to get handled here. All right, well, let's see. We're not calling it yet. Now let's prompt the user for a file name in editor save when e-file name is null. Okay. So here's save. If e-file name is empty, then we can say let self e file name equal to self editor prompt save as, and I don't have to put the colon there because I added that already in the prompt, and that doesn't work. Like that. Nope. Oh, expected string. I can do this. Why is this all purple? Oh, that was just a bug. Okay. All right. Now we can see if a save. Great. Now we have a basic save as functionality. Now let's allow the user to press escape to cancel the input prompt. Okay. Before we do that, cargo run. This is a test. Hello. And I'm going to hit Control S. And it's not working. Oh. I'm not seeing the prompt. I hit Control S and I hit return and it said can't save. If I say ASDF, something weird. And it wrote ASDF to disk. And now it's called ASDF. Control Q. All right, so this isn't working the way we expected. Set status message. Sets the message and we call refresh screen. What's going wrong here? Oh, I didn't flush. I have to flush before calling a read key. That's right. I forgot about that. Let's see where that's called here. Here, self screen flush. Cursor, I guess we don't care. We're not doing it there. All right. There. All right. Just ignore all the errors. That's the easiest way to do it. RM ASDF. Cargo run. So we'll type in a bunch of stuff here and then Control S. Save as ASDF. So that's working. I can't backspace over it though. 31 bytes written to disk. Control Q. There it is. Let's allow the user to press escape to cancel the input prompt. Okay, so now we're gonna have to change this. Oh, let's commit this change, right? This is 127. 126 and 127. Okay. Save as editor prompt. Neat. Okay. Ooh. I keep making oops. I need to
I don't know what y'all think, but I think
oh, that's not good. Git add source, git, what's it, amend, git, commit, amend, no edit, something like that. Okay. Git log. Okay, so we should be able to show this now. Git show this. Yeah, I got that. Okay. That's interesting. The Clippy checks not what's staged for commit, but what the current. I wonder if there's a way to fix that. To have cargo, because right now my Git, what's it, hooks? It's a pre-commit hook. It does a cargo format and a cargo clippy, but we should only cargo clippy what's staged for committing. That's I wonder if there's a way to do that. All right, well that's something to learn. I'll keep that in the back of my head there. Right, so we're going to allow escape to cancel the input prompt, which means that editor prompt needs to return option string. Right, because we want to be able to say if the key event was key event code key code escape, then we're going to do what? Set status message to blank. I guess we don't have to do that, right? To string it. And then just return none. And this is going to return some buff. Right? That way we can tell if the user pressed escape to get out. And then we'll recall. Here we want to check to see if let some file name equals, then self file name equals file name, else turn. Right? Vim user, hi. How are you? Hope you're enjoying this. I'm enjoying this. So let's see if that works now. We should be able to create a file or cargo run, create a new empty file. We should be able to put some text in there, hit Control S, and then hit escape. No name stays, and if I hit Q, we shouldn't have anything new in here. And that's right. That was from the previous run. Okay, so the escape works. Let's make sure that we can still save. Right? Control S, ASDF, Control Q. Oops. There it is. Okay. Perfect. So that's the escape clause. So that's step 128. Git add source. Step 128, allow escape to cancel save as prompt. Not bad. When input is canceled, we free the buff, right? So let's handle return value of null in editor save. I just did that. Oh, that was step 129. Oops. Oh, I should do this. Right? Self. Set status message. Save aborted. Note if you're using Bash on Windows, you will have to press escape 3 times to get one escape key press to register in our program because read calls in editor read key that look for an escape sequence never time out. Okay, good to know. So I should do this, Control S, and if I hit escape, oh, it was supposed to say, oh, I never saved this. Control Q, cargo run, Control S, escape, save aborted. And then that eventually goes away after 5 seconds. Yes. Okay. That's that one. I guess I can just git add source, git commit, amend. And it puts me in this, so oops. Steps. Unfortunately, I have my editor set to Vim instead of NeoVim. 2, 9. There we go. Okay. I'm going to have to fix that. Export editor equals nbin. Let's see if that works. There we go. Oh. Steps 128 to 129. There. There it is. Okay, good. We successfully amended the commit. Now let's allow the user to press backspace or Control-H or delete in the input prompt. All right. I mean, that's easy enough, right? All we have to do is check for... And let's actually pull out these guys here from the prompt. Copy and then paste. I'm going to separate these things like I did the other ones. Right, and then this is just buff.pop. And we just throw it away. Right? So let's try that. Cargo run. Save. I can type stuff and I can backspace. We can't see the cursor, but I guess it doesn't matter. And we can put bad characters in the file name. That's not good. Escape. Okay. Quit, 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 quit. Alright, so that's that. Backspacing in the prompt. Step 130. Backs. Allow backspacing in editor prompt. That's that. And then, oh, then we're done. In the next chapter, we'll make use of editor prompt to implement an incremental search feature in our editor. All right, let's do that. Search. Let's use editor prompt to implement a minimal search feature. When the user types a search query and presses enter, we'll loop through all the rows of the file, and if a row contains a query string, we'll move the cursor to match, to the match. So we're going to write a function called editor find. I guess I don't need the word editor, right? Because this is all in the editor thing. Right? So I'm just going to say find. It doesn't take any arguments and doesn't return anything. Okay. Ah, yeah. See here we're putting the %s in the middle. So we're gonna modify the way this works. If let sum query equals self prompt search escape to cancel, and then I'll put a colon and a space for us. So it's going to be slightly different, but that's all right. If query is null return, so that's what we're doing with the sum. Then we're going to look for every row and find that. So there's a string search, right? Find. Remove matches. Contains. Returns true if the given pattern matches a subslice of the string slice. Returns false if it does not. The pattern can be a stir, char, a slice of char, or a function or closure that determines if a character matches. Okay. All right. Let's see if that works here, right? Because query is going to be a string, right? Yep. And what we'll do is we'll just loop over each row and see if we find a match. If we find a match, we set the cursor, X and Y. Row off is enum rows. And then break. And then free the query. Okay. For row in self rows. if and all we're going to do is say contains self row row dot chars contains query, and I might have to say as stir. Okay, and then that doesn't tell us the offset, whereas this does. And it's based on the render distance. Ooh, that's tricky because we're not searching the render, we're searching the chars. Yeah, we're looking at render. I guess we can do that, right? But this doesn't. What does it return? It just returns whether or not it contains. It doesn't say where it is. So is there a different? There is a matches, but that matches the whole thing. An iterator of the disjoint matches of a pattern within a given slice. Yeah, that's not what we want. Iterator of a disjoint matches a pattern within the string slice as well as the index that the match starts at. Okay, so that's helpful. For matches of pat within self that overlap only the indices corresponding to the first match are returned. I only care about the first match, right? If I say take one, will that do the trick? I can say row position and match is equal to. Oh, yeah, but this might not have anything, right? If self row, no, it's row render of match indices of query, take one. Is that what we get? Well, let's try it this way here. If I say this, let R equal, and then we can find out what type R is. It's unknown, probably because this is not compiling, right? Oh, for row, so rows self rows 0. And type of this. And this. Oh, it's expecting this pattern business here. Yeah, but that's okay. Do I have to say Aster? Yeah, okay, and then R is a take. Oh. So I should be able to then say for a row in self rows, change this to row. Right? And then that, and there's that if let sum R do something. Expected. See, I don't want to call unwrap here because what if that fails? When you take, if you take one, what if I do this? Expected struct match indices found in new option. So I don't want to collect all of them. I just want to grab the first one that matches. Oops. So I want to, I look at match indices. I guess I don't know what I'm doing, because I just want to grab the first one, and this is an iterator, right? Match indices is an iterator. I should be able to say something like this. For match in, not match. Let's say X match in that, right? And then X match is a type of view size stir, right? Which is exactly what I'm looking for, but I just want to grab the first one. If I say take one here, that compiles. Now what is X match? It's the same thing. So it's just grabbing the first one. But I don't want a whole for loop. Oh, King, hi. Ugafa says after take one, try next. Oh, that's perfect. King, I am porting this. Here, I'll put it in chat there. So somebody wrote an editor called Kilo, and then this person here, whoever this is, I don't know who they are, wrote a tutorial on how to write Kilo with some changes in C. It's about 1,000 lines of C code, and I'm just trying to port it to Rust so I can learn Rust. So that's what I'm doing here. But I think Wagafa has the answer. Let some match, no, M. Let's just say M equals this. Take one next. Then we need to do something. Yeah, perfect. Okay, that's what I was missing, was the next. Thank you. So if this matches, then we're in here, right? So we're going to set cursor Y equal to the current row. Oh, we need that then. Let's call it I. And then M is going to contain... Oh, M is unknown. All right, well, let's find out if I can say M.0. So let self cursor.y is equal to I. Self cursor.x is equal to M.0. And then self row off is equal to self rows len. Break. We have a break, but we really just need a return. Okay, that does not work. Like this. As U16. Also as U16. This is saying unknown. Oh, there it is. Okay, it's working now. And then this also needs to be as U16. Okay, so there's find. We're not calling it yet, but this looks like it might be a find. King says, cool project. Yeah, I think so. It's pretty cool. So far, anyway. If they press escape to cancel the input prompt, then editor prompt returns null, and we abort the search. Yeah, so I'm doing that through this here. Otherwise, we loop through all the rows of the file. We use stir to check if query is a substring of the current row. It returns null if there is no match. Otherwise, it returns a pointer to the matching substring. Right, so we're using match indices to get similar information, but this returns the index of the matching string. Right, so what we're doing here is pointer arithmetic, right? So we get a pointer to the beginning of, well, the row renders the pointer to the beginning of the row, and match is a pointer to the beginning of the matched string. So you subtract those two pointers, and you basically get the distance to the cursor. There's one problem here. Did you notice what we just did wrong? Oh, lastly, we set eRow off so that we're scrolled to the very bottom of the file, which will cause editor scroll to scroll upwards at the next screen refresh so that the matching line will be at the very top of the screen. This way, the user doesn't have to look all over their screen to find where the cursor jumped to and where the matching line is. There's one problem here. Did you notice what we just did wrong? We assigned a render index to ECX, but ECX is an index into chars. If there are tabs to the left of the match, the cursor is going to be in the wrong position. We need to convert the render index into a chars index before assigning it to CX. Let's create an editor row rx to CX function, which is the opposite of the editor row CX to rx function we wrote in chapter 4, but contains a lot of the same code. Okay, so we're going to just say self, and we're going to say row dot rx to CX m0. And that'll take a usize. And that doesn't exist. So let's write it. Where's our... Here's our CX to RX, so let's make it pubfun RX to CX. Takes a self. So it takes an RX as a usize, and it's going to return a U16. I guess I should do U16s everywhere. All right. Int cur rx equals 0, int cx. For cx is 0. Okay, we can do this. Let mod cx equals 0, while cx is less than self. The row size is the chars, right? Chars len. If self chars of cx has usize, that's unfortunate. Is equal to a tab. Backslash t, right? Then we're going to say cur rx plus equals kilo tab stop minus 1 minus cur rx mod kilo tab stop. Okay, and then we're going to increment it. Cur rx plus equals 1 if cur rx is greater than rx, return cx, return cx. I guess we could just say break, right? Oh, I see. We're walking it this way. This is the way we should be walking it, right? Okay. I guess we can do the same thing, right? For C in self chars, do we need to just take up to Rx? Or we can just take them all, right? And then we can say this, if C is that equal to tab, then cur Rx is that, cur Rx is that. Yeah. We do need to increment CX though each time through the loop. So maybe we do CX C and self-chars chars enumerate, and then return cx as u16, like that. Oh, we can't do that. We can't do that, right? Because we want to. Okay, we can say return cx as u16 here, and then we can just say return self chars len as u16. Cur rx should be u16, right? Oh, really? Kilo tab stop is a U size. Okay. So if I pass in U size, does that fix this problem? Yeah, okay. That's a little bit better. Hopefully this is right. We'll find out in a little bit. Okay, to convert an Rx to a Cx, we do pretty much the same thing when converting the other way. Loop through the chars string, calculating the current Rx value as we go. But instead of stopping when we hit a particular Cx value and returning cur Rx, we want to stop when cur Rx hits the given Rx value and returns Cx. The return statement at the very end is just in case the caller provided an Rx that's out of range, which shouldn't happen. The return statement inside the for loop should handle all Rx values that are valid indexes into render. Now let's call editor row Rx to Cx to convert the matched index to a chars index and assign it to ECX. Okay. So that's over here, which we already did it. Okay. Finally, let's map control F to the editor find function and add it to the help message we set in main. Okay, right down here. We have control S to save, control F to find. Oops. Control F to find. All right. Copy this. Put that into an F and just call find. Done. Oh, we have to change the help message. Where's the help message? Equals save. Okay, and then we'll just put here ctrlf equals find. All right. Now let's make our search feature fancy. Well, let's see if we can run it. Cargo run test. If I say Control F, search for term. Oh, look at that. It popped it right there. That worked perfectly. I want to be able to do find again, though. I guess we don't have that functionality yet. If I hit Control F and hit escape, it cancels. If I hit Control F and then it's X, Y, Z, Y, which doesn't exist, it doesn't say not found or anything. It just doesn't do anything. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. So we have up to step 134 now. We just finished 134. So from 131, git add source git commit -m steps 131 to 134 find feature. Very nice. Okay. Now let's make our search feature fancy. We want to support incremental search, meaning the file is searched after each key press when the user is typing in their search query. To implement this, we're going to get editor prompt to take a callback function as an argument. We'll have it call this function after each key press, passing the current search query inputted by the user and the last key they pressed. Okay. And the callback, let me just scan forward because I want to see how we're going to implement this. Here we're going to not pass in a callback. Here we're not passing in a callback. Oh, the find callback is going to take the key that's being pressed. Okay. And then it's going to do the find as you type. So in editor find, oops. So where's the prompt code doing the callback? Here. Okay. So we get the callback here. And then all it's doing is calling. All right. I guess I'm a little bit worried about lifetime. Borrow checking. Okay, so how would we do this here in prompt? We can say, take in a function right? We can say this is a function that takes a string and a usize. As an option. Right? Does that work? I mean, that builds. So now the question is, how do we handle this in prompt? Because this is if callback, right? So we're going to, every place here, so for escape, we'll say if let some callback equals callback. Right? Pull it out, and we can just say callback of buff and the key, which is going to be key. Ooh, how are we going to do that? I guess we just pass the whole key event in. So it doesn't take use size, it takes the key event. Right? Does that build? It does. Okay. I forgot I had my builder thing here. Okay, so, right. I shouldn't have done that. Okay, return. So in enter, we also need to do that. I guess we don't have to worry about the backspace situation. Really? Oh, I see. The backspace falls down through here. Oh, okay. So we have to do it before we return, but then we have to do it after every key. Got it. So here's the return. If let some callback. It's callback, buff C. And then at the end of the match, we will do it here. If let some callback. Let's callback, buff C. Nope, didn't like that. Move occurs because buff has type string, which does not implement the copy trait. Can I do that? Nope. So maybe what we need to do instead of doing it this way, we just pass in this. Yeah, okay. All right, so that allows us to call a callback, and now we have to write a callback for... Right, so I read that. If the if statement allows the caller to pass a null for the callback in case they don't want to use the callback. This is the case where we prompt the user for a file name. So let's pass null to editor prompt when we do that. We'll also pass null to editor prompt and editor find for now to get the code to compile. Right, we did that. Now let's move to the actual searching code from editor find. We'll move the actual searching code from editor find into a function called editor find callback. Obviously, this will be our callback function for editor prompt. So maybe we can't just take an option function string key event, right? Because or maybe it will work. Let's find out. So if I extract the find code to be find callback, right? It's just this here, right? Find callback. Mut self. Oh yeah, see it takes a self. It takes a self argument. So that's not going to work. Man, I'm getting spammed with these follower buys. I thought I had a phrase band on that. I guess I don't. Or maybe I lost it, or maybe they're getting around it somehow. Okay. Yeah, so this is taking a self parameter, and then we can say, the buff is reference to a string, and then we have a code which is going to be a key event, which is a key event. And this won't work for, this won't work for a callback. Right, because if I say sum find callback, that's not going to work. Oh, right, the query. That's what that is the query. Oops. Already there's change. Undo. Really? So somehow I lost my sum find callback. King says, I'm trying to get used to NeoVim. Have you used regular Vim before? Or is that just... or you're just trying to get used to the whole Vim way of doing things? It takes 10 plus seconds for me to remember keybinds. Oh, well, I mean, that's something, I guess it's something that just comes with practice. Yeah, and I can't put just self find callback, can I? Because I need to actually call it. And I can't say editor. Yeah, see, because it needs the editor in here. So maybe if we just make all our callbacks like that, right? I can just stick this in here. Editor. Oh, yeah, now I have to say self callback. Wow, how's that going to work? Self. Is that even going to work? Oh, I have to probably make it mutable, right? Expected function. Where is it? Here it is. Can I do that? And then these get mutable on them. Nope, cannot borrow as mutable. This is not declared mutable. Really? It's right here. The binding is already a mutable borrow. Does that mean I can just do this? Huh. That's a shock. That's a shock. Okay, so now we no longer... If query, free query. We no longer need the query, right? We're just going to do a prompt. This isn't needed anymore. We can just throw it away. Right? Epic Blog says HTTP3 was standardized yesterday. Make your editor talk to an LSP over HTTP3. I wonder what would it take to build a client? LSP client. Example. Sure. Guidance to writing an LSP client. I have not been able to fully comprehend the LSP documentation. Oh, there's the LSP documentation right there. This seems extensive. Language server write capabilities, message documentation. Wow. Okay, so this would be... What language is this? Export interface? Is this C# or something? This must be C#, right? It's coming off Microsoft. Yeah, I'm not going to do that now. Maybe I'll hack that out tomorrow. Oh, you're linking me to something by Prime? I don't know if I like that. Vim Be Good is a plugin designed to make you better at Vim by creating a game to practice basic movements in. Oh, that's an interesting concept. Programmed with love and fury, but is it blazingly fast? Must use NeoVim 5.x. Yeah, that's interesting. Oh, you can run it right through Docker. That's convenient. All right. I'm not going to play with that also. Okay. So we're now calling this callback on the find. I don't know if it's going to work. What we're going to do, though, I think... Oh, here we go. If key is return or key is escape, then don't do anything. So we're going to do that here. Okay. I'm just trying to say event. So we have to reparse this thing here. I wonder if I should make the find. Yeah, let's create a find enum. Prompt enum, and which will be have enter, or have escape, or have a char. And that's what's going to get passed down into the find callback. So we can say if matches, instead of event here, we just say prompt key. Call prompt key. And we'll just say if matches event prompt key enter, or prompt key escape return. I think that'll simplify things, right? And then find callback will just, everything else will just go through this query, which is fine. So the callback buff C, oh, right, I wanted to extract this. So I guess what we can do is translate it here. Let prompt key. There's no. And it's going to be an option. Prompt key. And make it mutable, right? So that in here we can then set the prompt key. Prompt key is equal to sum prompt key char ch, like that. And then should I make this an option, or force it here if let some key equals prompt key. Like that. And then up here, this will be prompt key escape. And up here, this will be prompt key enter. That way we don't have to redecode the key code, because, redecode the key event. We've already decoded it here, might as well just pass it through. And of course this fails. Oh, because I forgot to put that here. Prompt key. Nice. Okay. So it's something's different, right? Let's see if we have interactive find now. Oh, we're not doing the scrolling business, are we? I guess maybe we don't have to, because we're refreshing the screen between each one. Let's find it. Let's find out. Copy source editor to T. Cargo run T. Control F. And what should we look for? We'll look for the word callback. C A L L. Oh, look at that. Return. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. But there it is. Neat. So that did an interactive search, but it searches from the beginning each time, right? So if I look for status, for example, Control F, S T A T, yeah. All right, that's neat. So now we have an interactive search. Oh, and I have to escape to cancel, but it leaves it there. It doesn't return the cursor to where it was. Okay. King says, I can't figure out what to do, Vim be good. Are you running it from a Docker image? I don't have Docker up right now. I don't want to start Docker to do that. And I'm not sure I want to add this plugin right now to my NeoVim. I mean, yeah, why not? Let's give it a shot. .config nvim. What's it under? Start or pack something, right? Pack dev start. That's where it all goes. Right? Vim fugitive. I don't know what half of these things are. Yeah, so if I clone this here, Vim be good. Okay, so, and to start it, you have to just run it. By default, Vim goods return random offset for a given difficulty above noob. To play relative, you need to delete the line that says delete me. Use relative jumps. To play CI, you need to replace the contents inside the first with the bar. To play whack-a-mole, you need to navigate the character. Here it is, yeah. So you're in an empty file, so first execute the following. And watch, it's going to delete everything, right? It's going to delete my entire workspace. In Vim. Vim be good. Vim be good is a collection of small games. Select a game. Delete from list to select. You need to replace the contents inside the first curly brace or open brace with bar. And to play relative, you need to delete the line that says delete me. Where's the line that says delete me? I don't see the line that says delete me. This says select a game, delete from list to select. So if I delete HJKL, game starts in 3, 2, 1. Remove the X with only using HJKL and X. Okay, I mean, this seems like it's pretty straightforward. That gives you practice using HJKL. Where do you want to go next? Delete line, menu, replay, or quit? Or just ZZ like a real man? Okay, done. All right. Well, good luck with that, King. I hope that works well for you. I've never tried that before, obviously. Kilo. Yeah. But it looks like it's pretty cute. Oh, you're welcome. I didn't realize that was what you needed help with. So yeah, so it was just under config nvim pack dev start is what I have, because I just stole Toggle's setup. So anything that gets installed there automatically gets pulled in as a plugin. NeoVim and plugins and my brain don't work well, so I used whatever Toggle set up, and it just sort of seems to work. So all right, so back to the editor. In the callback, we check to see if the user pressed enter or escape, in which case they are leaving search mode, so return immediately instead of doing another search. Otherwise, after any other key press, we do another search for the current query string. That's all there is to it. We now have incremental search. All right, so that was step 137. Git log, git add source, git commit -m, steps 135 to 137, incremental search. Oh, you use plug? Yeah, I tried using plug and it didn't work for me, so I don't know what I did wrong. So in the editor, string instead of stir involves new object, right? So let's change this to a stir and see if that breaks our build. Yeah, I thought I had to change that to as stir. Yeah, so this breaks this, because now editor callback is not the right format, but maybe we can change this to a stir and have everything work again. Yes, okay. Don't forget to git add source if you're going to do it again. Okay, very good. All right, restore cursor position when canceling search. When the user presses escape to cancel a search, we want the cursor to go back to where it was when they started the search. To do that, we'll have to save their cursor position and scroll position and restore those values after the search is canceled. Oh, okay, so it's just copying that data. Okay, that's easy enough. Let saved cx. Say, can I just do this as a giant tuple? cy saved call off saved row is equal to self cursor x self cursor y. Oh, we have position, right? I should just be able to save position, right? Yeah. Saved position. So we can just say that and then self call off, self row off. We do the prompt. If query, free query. Oh, I see. So this will return if this is none, right? Then we're going to restore everything. So self cursor is equal save position, self call off equals saved call off, and then row like that, right? So if the prompt gets canceled, it returns none, and if it returns none, we're going to restore the cursor position, and that fails. Oh, because I forgot the D. Can't move out of self cursors behind a mutable reference. All I'm trying to do is copy it. Where's position? Can I copy here? Should be copyable, right? Cone. Okay. Okay, that seems to have done the trick. Just by adding copy clone to that, now we can clone it into here, and then we can restore it here. So now let's do an interactive search. Cargo run T. We'll search for a callback. Control F. Callback, and then hit escape, and it goes back to where we were. Now, if we go down a bunch of lines, right, and I'll put my cursor position on the word position, and now I'll do Control F, callback, and then hit escape. Yeah, it put it exactly back where it was. Roll off got set correctly, call off got set correctly. Well, we don't know. I mean, call off is 0 because it's not scrolling left, right. And the cursor position went right back there. All right. So that's restoring the cursor between, restore cursor position when canceling search. So let's add that. Oops, Control Q. Git add source, git commit. Step 138. Restore cursor position when canceling search. All right, I think I have time for one more. Let's do one more. Search forward and backward. Ooh, the last feature we'd like to add. Last feature. Oh yeah, look at that. We're almost done. Maybe I can finish this whole chapter then. Is to allow the user to advance to the next or previous match in the file using the arrow keys. The up, left arrow keys will go to the previous match, and the down and right arrow keys will go to the next match. We'll implement this feature using 2 static variables. Oh, wonderful, in our callback. Last match will contain the index of the row the last match was on, or -1 if there was no last match. And direction will store the direction of the search, 1 for searching forward and -1 for searching backwards. Wonderful. So this is not good, but we can stick it in our editor, right? And just initialize them at the beginning of the callback. At the beginning of the, at the beginning of the find function, we can initialize them. Okay, let's see. So I'm going to just put them here, last match. And this is just backwards or forwards, right? So let's make that an enum also. Enum search direction. Backwards, forwards. Oh, last match is the index of the row. We can still put this as search direction. So the index of the row is going to be a U size, and direction is going to be in search direction, like that. And then we have to initialize those guys. Last match is going to be, oh yeah, actually it doesn't matter if there is no search, but we do need to make it an option. Direction is 1, which I guess is search direction forward. All right, so we're going to make this an option U size. And let's take off the S's. Okay, so that should build. We're not using it yet, but that's okay. And then in our find callback, these get initialized here, and then they get reset here if we're canceling out of the search, either by finishing it or escaping. Okay. So in our find callback, we can say here, self.lastmatch equals none, self.direction equals forward, search direction forward. Okay. Else if the key is right or down or left or up. Okay, so now we're going to do a little more editor key business. Prompt key, sorry. Next and previous. Right? Because we're going to parse the arrows out of the key press code here. There's enter, escape, there's delete, and then the character, and then we're going to have key event code key code up, or capital up, or key event code key code up and left are both going to convert to what are we going to do here? Oh, not in there. All right. I guess what we'll do then is we'll do the same thing here. Let some callback equals callback self buff prompt key previous. It was previous, right? Yeah, prev. Okay. Semicolon. And then if it's down, oops, I forgot the comma dot dot. That closes that, that closes that. And if it's down or right, then we're going to go next. I forgot the if let some callback equals callback. There. Does that look right? It's compiling. I mean, it's formatting. Let's see if it compiles. It compiles. Okay. So now in our find callback, we can check. Oops. So we can say match event prompt key enter or prompt key escape. We're going to do these things, right? If it's prompt key right and down, which is next, then we're going to say self direction is equal to search direction forward. If it's prompt key prev, then self direction is search direction backward. Otherwise, we're going to reset them both. Seems like we could go a little bit better. We can do one step better. No, let's leave it like this. Oops. I messed up a closing brace somewhere. Not there, here. Yeah, okay, that's better. Okay, so that's this part here. Right? As you can see, we always reset last match to -1 unless an arrow key was pressed. So we'll only advance to the next or previous match when an arrow key is pressed. You can also see we always set direction to 1 unless the left or up arrow key was pressed. So we always search in the forward direction unless the user specifically asks to search backwards from the last match. Key is enter or escape. That means we're about to leave search mode. So we reset last match and direction to their initial values to get ready for the next search operation. All right, now that we have those variables all set up, let's put them to use. If last match is none, then direction is forward. Current is equal to last match. All right, well, I mean, we can just implement this straight across and see what it's doing. If last match is none, self direction is equal to search direction forward. Let current is equal to last match. Are we going to change current? We are going to change current. Okay. So else, I guess. current plus equals direction. Ah, I see why they have it 1 and -1. Because as we're going through the rows, we're going to increment the direction. And if current hits -1, then we're going to loop around from the back. Okay, so what's the way to do this then? Because I could make these I32s, right? And that way I can just do all of this business here, and then I just have to index. But I think it's probably a better way to go with just. Right, we don't want to go negative here. So if, well, let's take a look. So if we're going to change current based on what direction is. If, I guess we can say match self direction. If it's search direction forward, then we're going to say current plus equals 1, because we can always do that. And then say if current is, I don't want to say unwrap here, because the current is going to be, current has to be a value, I guess, of 0, right? So we can say 0 here, else if let sum line equals last match, then we're going to return line here, right? Because I want to say current, let current equals this. So either line, or if it's none, then we're going to set the search direction to forward and start at line 0. All right. Problem is we want to start -1. Right, if last match is -1, so that we our first thing is 0. So then this should actually be self rows len. Okay. So if current is greater than or equal to self rows len current equals 0. If search direction is backwards, then we're going to say if current equals 0, current equals self rows len -1, else current minus equals 1. So that's a little more awkward than this, right? Because we're using direction to say which way to go, and it's incrementing current or not, depending on what we're doing. All right, so now instead of grabbing the row the old way, we're still looping over the rows, but now we're looking at the current row rather than, and is I used anywhere here? I don't see I being used anywhere at this point. Right, because it was set here. So we don't actually need to do this part anymore. We can just say for nothing in 0 to self rows len. Right? And now we're going to say, instead of row, we're going to say self rows current. Right? That's this part here. And then if we match, then we say last match equals sum current. Y is equal to current. And this stays the same. All right, does that compile? No. S-E-A-R-C-H. And what's this? Oh, self last match. Self. Oh, we don't want to do that actually, right? Because we already set that. Okay. And then self last match. Oh, we don't have row anymore, right? We have self rows current. As use 16. All right. So let's see if this allows us now to search up and down. Okay, cargo run T. So we're going to look for callback again. Control F, C-A-L-L. I'm going to hit down, down, up, up, up. Oh, it wrapped around. Let's see if it can wrap around from the top too. Oh, look at that. It's working. It worked first try. First try. Unbelievable. Okay. Hit escape. Hit Control Q, and we're done. Wow. I'm just amazed that it worked. Current is the index of the current row we are searching. If there was a last match, it starts on the line after or before if we're searching backwards. If there wasn't a last match, it starts at the top of the file and searches in the forward direction to find the first match. All right, so there's probably something fancier we can do here regarding current and search direction. With maybe implementing a trait of some kind. Right. Go to the file, back to the beginning of the file, vice versa, and allow the search to wrap around. When we find a match, we set last match to current, so if the user presses the arrow keys, we'll start the next search from that point. Finally, let's not forget to update the prompt text to let the user know they can use the arrow keys. Okay. And that is here. Use escape arrows, enter. I don't want to make the prompt too long. All right, in the next chapter, we'll implement syntax highlighting and file type detection to complete our text editor. All right, so this finishes chapter 5. It gets us through part 141. Git add source. Git commit -m. Steps 139 to 141. Searching. Repeat search. Forwards and backwards. Nice, look at that. And it even passes Clippy. All right, so the next chapter is going to be syntax highlighting. I think tomorrow I'm going to look at optimization. I don't know how much optimization there is going to be that we can actually do. Slow key wrapping. All right, NAND boxing. All right, so that's crafting interpreters. So I definitely have to get through that and take a look at what that's doing. But syntax highlighting looks like a fairly extensive chapter on its own. So maybe that'll be the stream after that. Right. So this is done. Let me push this up. Git push. It's not there. It's not there. It's not there. Here it is. The very first one. Epic Blog says, hear me out. Modular-based editor. There's no beginning or end. The same content keeps looping over and over and over. You can only insert and remove content. This allows you to avoid pesky difference between append and insert since only insert exists. Searching will be problematic, at least in the case where one searches for something which doesn't exist in the buffer. There's no beginning or end. That's okay. You're officially off the deep end there, Epic. But thank you for that. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to wrap up the stream here. This is all nicely pushed. We got through the rest of chapter, what was it, chapter 4? We finished chapter 5 and then completed all of chapter 6. And now the next thing to do is syntax highlighting. But like I said, tomorrow I want to look at, it's over here, optimization. So we're going to do optimization and crafting interpreters. And I think that's the last bit to do in crafting interpreters, and then I'm out of things to do. And then after that, we'll go finish up the text editor. All right, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you for hanging out with me. And thank you especially to Wagafa for the hint on the next, calling take one next. My brain was stuck. I couldn't remember that at all. And thank you everyone else for hanging out with me and all the banter. And I will see you next time with optimization. All right. Take care, everyone.